we are going to come together every month. It won't just be about contract awards of who the next vendors are, but what progress are we making? What behind-the-scenes footage can we show you of some of the landers being assembled, the rovers being assembled, some of the integration of the scientific or tech demonstration?
This is great news because Jared Isaacman understands the importance of bringing the public along. One of the best things about SpaceX and the reason that everything is so popular with them is because they're not afraid to show what's happening. And when you feel like you're along and being part of the progress, it's much more engaging. It's much more something that you want to get online, follow along and enjoy. Isaacman understands this, and I think this is great. NASA's being so more transparent than it's ever been. Look back at the Artemis 2 with the trip around the moon. It was amazing. It's like the whole world got involved, and that's what we want. That's what's going to make these missions truly feel like humanity's taking part. And kudos to Isaacman for understanding that and bringing us along for the ride.
Might have a little bit more about what's next.
So a little bit of a Star Wars reference here. I think those that know our Mars rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance. Well, there is another. And the engineering development unit for it is called Promise. And I'd say we are thinking very hard right now about sending Promise to the moon.
Awesome. Awesome. It's basically an identical rover to Curiosity and Perseverance, which is on Mars. It's nuclear powered, so it can operate in the shaded side of the moon. And I think what they used it for, I saw a documentary, is anytime they had an issue with one of the landers on Mars, they would roll out the full-size replica, which they've now named as Promise, and basically walk through sequences of code that they was going to give it to perform tasks to make sure that everything that they were sending was exactly what they wanted to happen. Jarhead has done an amazing thing. He's basically saying, look, we've got this capability. It's nuclear powered. Let's send it to the moon, which I'm all for. That would be awesome.
The lunar night is going to be one of the bigger challenges. With this capability, we wouldn't have to worry about that. So long traverses, getting into those very hard to reach areas, just like Curiosity and Perseverance have shown us on the surface of Mars. That would be awesome. But then we have payload capacity, significant on this thing. So we're going to work with our partners in the Science Mission Directorate to find the best payloads we can have, put them on this rover, and get groundbreaking science out of it. So we're very excited about this possibility, which we're still studying. But anyway, we are in the business of the near impossible, so why not?
I'm optimistic.
But it's the moon-based guy, Carlos Galan, who reveals exactly how big NASA's ambitions truly are.
Will Robinson Smith of Spaceflight Now says, does NASA intend to procure landing services using Intuitive Machines' Nova D lander? If so, why not for this 2028 mission?
Sure. We are excited about the development of the Nova D, just like other vendors are developing a scaled-up version of their landers. We may be procuring that. I mean, we just announced that the CLIPS 2.0 window is closing today, so it could be a CLIPS 2.0 award in the future. So yeah, if we're going to use all the capability. There's some low class, like 150, 200 kilograms landers today. There's also 500 kilogram. There's 2 or 3 metric tons, and we want to go up to like 15 metric tons. So this is going to be an evolution of the landing capability that we have up to when we get to the human class cargo landers, which could be up to, Starship around the 100 metric ton capability. Yeah, we plan to use whatever is available, and we have the contract mechanisms for it.
Yeah, and we're on Moonbase Update 2 right now, so there's going to be a lot of Moonbase updates. We're doing this, monthly going forward. You have a national space policy that calls for building a moon base. The President of the United States wants to see a moon base. You have bipartisan support from Congress to build a moon base. We're going to be sending, crew and payload to the moon for a very, very long time. So if you're in the business of making hardware and you're continuing to think about how to improve that hardware, which you should do when you have a demand signal that goes from infrequent bespoke landers to let's do this all the time, you're probably making, worthwhile investments at this point. So there's going to be a lot more moon updates going forward.
The moon base, Artemis 3, Blue Origin's issue, everything points at one rocket. And like I said, if it was maybe slight hyperbole to say last week that Flight 13 is probably one of the most important flights in SpaceX history, looking at the developments from this week, I genuinely don't think that that's an over-the-top statement. There's so many people that are relying on this, not just SpaceX, investors, but you've also got the head of NASA that's down one launch pad and vehicle and desperately needs to make sure that that doesn't happen with SpaceX, or at least that there's any more delays. If they can pull this off, they certainly will secure so many moon contracts that it's going to sustain the company to continue to build out all of the infrastructure and all of the applications that they want moving forward towards the moon. And what about Flight 13? How is it progressing right now? Well, Ship 40 just completed a single engine static fire to simulate what would happen for the relight in space burn that they missed on Flight 12. Booster 20 is basically being fitted out with engines ready for a static fire now. And more importantly, Ship 41 has been seeing cryogenic testing. So we've got a production line. And as long as Flight 13 goes the way Elon would hope it would, we should see the launch cadence ramp up. So it's exciting times for SpaceX. But this can all be undone by a suboptimal Flight 13. So Jared Isaacman, Elon Musk, and indeed hopefully the rest of the space community will have their fingers crossed for Flight 13, hoping for a success. We can't keep taking one step forward and two steps back. Flight 13 isn't just SpaceX proving that their rocket works. It's NASA's escape route, and possibly the most consequential single launch since Apollo 11. If Flight 13 goes perfectly, is it already too late for anyone else to compete?